Good evening, folks. How are you doing? So welcome to another flight using the interactive checklist, and we're going to be going down to Mahon today, and that's from Bournemouth in the UK down to Mahon. And as I say, we'll be using the interactive checklist, and what we're going to do is just assume that we've done the departure brief as it stands at the moment, because it's the evening's moving on a bit for me and I just need to get going. And we'll crack straight on with the engine or the A320 checklist. So here we go then. Right, so hopefully you can see the checklist to the right hand side there, and what we're going to do is that's set up on my iPad, and this is going to be available on the web soon for anybody else to use if they want to. So we're going to slowly, or as quickly as possible I guess, really work our way through the interactive checklist. So let's make a start then. So engine master switches are all off. Engine master switches are off, check. Engine mode selector is set to normal. Engine mode selector is set to normal. Landing gear lever is set to down. Landing gear lever is set down. Wipers, both first officer and co-pilot, or pilot and first officer, are both set to off. Batteries are reading 25.4, 25.4. Batteries 1 and 2 are on. We'll come back to that in a minute because I think I've got this wrong at the moment in the checklist, but we will. In fact, if I leave that off, then we can scroll through for anything that I've missed. Ground power is available. We would wait for that if we had to request it, but it is available at present, so we can switch external power on. And next is to do the APU fire test, and that's this button here. Check. Discharge and APU fire light is on. APU master switch is on. APU start is on. Check. Now we need to go around the cockpit and turn on the lights and set the brightness for everything that we need to do there. And so let's do the PFD, the navigation display. So check done, check done. We'll then do the overhead lights for, or not so much the overheads, the flight control unit lights. That's done. And then we need to go down and do the upper ECAM. So that's basically this one here. So we need that nice and bright so we can see what's happening, and the lower ECAM light, and turn up the MCDU or the McDo to make sure that that's nice and bright to see. And the next thing we'll do is turn the floodlights up here and the integral lights on the panel. So that's the background lights, lower integral, and then we move up top again to do the integral lights on the overhead panel. And that makes everything lovely and bright so we can see exactly what we're doing. Okay, moving on. So parking brake is on, confirm. Flaps are up, confirm. Speed brake is down, disengaged and retracted. Probe window heat, so back up to the top we go for that. And probe window heat, or pitot heat, is, I believe, is what that is. So now we want nav and logo lights are switched on. Nav and logo lights are on. APU bleed set to on. Okay, crew oxygen supply was off, it is now on. We now need to sort out the navigation to make sure we're getting a signal from the satellites. Oh, that was wrong, so we need to go 1, 2 is to the right, and 3 is in the middle. So that's the 3 turn. They will take approximately 8 minutes to come on. Strobe light is set to on. No smoking is set to auto. Seatbelts is on. Emergency exit is armed. Annunciator light chest, so we want to make sure all the lights are actually working, no broken bulbs. We'd have to do a maintenance report for that to make sure it's fixed for the next flight. And dome lights are set to dim, which is the middle setting. Right, okay, if it was really cold, we would probably have the anti-icing on, which are these three here. We're not going to do that because it's not so cold at the moment. Cabin pressure warning needs to be dark and out, which is off. Ditching button needs to be closed, which is over here. Landing elevation is set to normal or auto. Aircon set as required. In the cockpit, I prefer things a little bit cooler, so we'll turn that down in the cockpit a bit there. Packs are both set to on. Fuel pumps all on across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All fuel pumps are on. Fire check. Let's check. Number 1 engine. Good. Number 2 engine. Good. Okay, we're cruising through this, and right, electrical panel all seems good. Now this is where I think we have to put the batteries on, so we'll do that now. I think I've got the step wrong there. Ventilation is good, no white or amber lights, so we fixed the white lights that we had because we turned off the battery lights. Now we need to just go downstairs and have a look at what we have here. So the first one is I think this is, is it recycle? Oh, where is it? There you go. And there we go. Okay, check. Doors we check as well. Hydraulics don't work. Engine oil we can check, so we would go to engine and check. Nothing untoward there. Plenty of oil, that's good, and check. Emergency equipment and rain repellent doesn't work at the moment. So now we need to go to the basically the flight control unit, which is here, or the electric flight instrument system, the EFIS, and we need to set the barometer. So we want to be hectopascals because we're in Europe. We press B to set the current QNH. Flight directors are on both. We then have climb and nav and 1FD2, which are both set. And we want to make sure that we have constraints set so that when we have the flight plan up, we can see exactly where we're going. So the navigation screen we have set to arc, and we'll have it set to 10 nautical miles because it's relatively close for the climb out. VOR and ADF we will set as required, so leave that for now, and the landing system is off. Check. Right, so basically we need to make sure that the speed and heading is managed, so that's dash dot, confirm. Altitude in increments of 1,000 or 100, so we'll stay with 1,000 for now. And we'll set our initial stop height, which is going to be 5,000 feet. We might come back and do that in a bit once we have a bit more information for us. So let's go and check the primary flight display. Is everything as expected? So the first stop height is showing as 5,000 feet as expected. QNH 1013. We're approximately 40 feet at Bournemouth, and 1FD2 is showing and climb and nav. Okay, all looking good there. And so we're still waiting for the navigation system to come alive. Next, we need to go to the secondary instruments, and we need to turn up the brightness for this. This is the and set the same, and QNH is 1013, so our temperature is checked and artificial horizon is checked, level, and clock we can set if we want to, but we're not going to do anything with that. And we want to make sure that the nose is set to, the anti-skid system is set to on. Next we need to look at the radio system, which is here. So we're really looking forward to make sure that the switch is on. That now works. So we are initiated. I've got that set as in op at the moment. Transmission on VHF 1 and cool on VHF 1. Everything is good there. We need to make sure that the weather system is set to weather. And we go back to our, what do we go to? Here. Let's have a look down here, and now it's STS, and cycle through that. So that's status. I believe, and we're looking for normal, but we don't see normal at the moment. So pressures we need to cycle through, and nothing untoward there either. Right, so now we need to do some of the safety checks. Let's first go back up. We are starting to come into a situation where we have a live aircraft, so we need to be quite aware that we're not always looking down at the controls. So brake is off and on, brake is off and on. Chocks are removed, we would request the chocks are removed. Thrust lever is set to idle. Let's just check that, and thrust lever is set to idle. Check. So back to the engine switches, engine masters are set to all off, and engine mode switch is still set to normal. That's not been knocked basically in the process. ATC we're going to set to Bournemouth ground, and so we'll set that now. Hopefully we don't get too much chatter while we're waiting for that to happen. So while we're here, we'll set weather to system 1, and we'll load the flight plan. So we now need to go to the flight control unit, and what we need to do here, the very first thing we need to do is select MCDU and go to flight plan. Flight plan, MCDU. Okay, so we don't actually have a flight plan in there at the moment. So sometimes when you start, you have a... okay, so what we're going to do is put in a fake kind of trip. So we're going to do EGHF, which is my local airfield, and EGLL, which is Heathrow. And we're going to submit that to the from to and go back to return. So we should see that now. Right, the reason we've done that, we're making absolutely clear that the new plan that we're going to inject in a moment is going to go in over the top of that, and there's no residue from before. Now, I don't know if that's a bug, but it's something that I've had a problem with, where it basically doesn't overwrite correctly. So what we're going to do then, MCDU, ATSU. So what we're doing at the moment is going to be calling in the flight plan, and the system is already connected to SimBrief, and I did that some time ago, and we're going to call in the flight plan from SimBrief. So EGHH, which is Bournemouth to LEMH, nothing unexpected there. And now what we need to do is that's the initial flight plan load. If you just left it at that, you wouldn't actually have, let's have a quick look at flight plan, you wouldn't, that would be a direct kind of route from EGH. Oh, you see what's happened there? It's still got the old one in there. So now what we need to do is go to MCD, ATSU, again, AOC menu, we need to go to init and do this, the initial request, and you see there it's actually wiped out that old one. So we now know for sure that we have the flight plan as expected. We don't have the airways though, so I'm not convinced that that's right. So let's return. I'm going to call that in again. AOC menu, init request, initial data request, done. And now what we're going to do is and back to flight plan. Okay, so basically then, there we do. We do have the airways in there. I wasn't looking at the part where we go from basically the initial get-go and the climb out. So main thing we want to check, EGHS, which is Bournemouth Herne, and where do we end up? We end up at LEMH, which is Menorca Mahon. So that's all good. So the flight plan is in, we've checked the route, and now what we want to do is to load the fuel. So to do that then, we're going to go back to the MCDU, ATSU, AOC menu, and performance, weight and balance, and load the fuel. So what we're going to do now, I'm not sure if I can pull this up. Let me see if I can bring the, there we go. Right, so we've got the, so many buttons to press. So we're expecting to bring in fuel of 8.1, and basically 8,000, that's basically 8.1, so it's done that in effect. So happy with that. So that's good. So we can load that, but what we now need to do is go to the weight and balance, because in fact it has loaded 8.9 of fuel, so it doesn't always do that. So okay, so that's good. Oh, you can't see that, sorry. Let me go back to so I'm in this section now for the weight and balance, which you get by selecting the weight icon at the top. And so basically I'm happy that we've got the right amount of fuel. What we now need to do, that part there, now what we need to do is have a look at what we need in terms of payload. So the payload is saying it's 17.5. So for that, it's basically 8.8 we need in, well, it's 8.8 is it? 8.75. So 2 lots of 8.75. So what we're going to do, here, let me just bring this back up so you can see what I'm doing here. So we're going to select that backspace, co-pilot weight backspace, business class, get rid of the weight in there. Forward baggage is 750. For some reason, it doesn't seem on first hit to do the first key that you type in. So economy class we want to get rid of, and then we're going to do 7850. Basically we need to get rid of that. That's a bit of a odd one, that is. Okay, so that now gives us 17.5 thousand kilograms. So, and now we need to write down 22.84 for the center of gravity. So good, that's done. Back to the checklist. Right, where are we? So forward fuel is done, baggage is done, and now we need to go back to the MCDU and in it, and what we'll do is go across one page, and we need to call up the zero fuel weight and submit that. We need to call up the block fuel, fuel plan in, block confirm. So we've done that, and we can go back to the MCD menu. So the weight and balance is done, and what we need to do is just go back to init. Cost index we can have as some sort of arbitrary figure. So let's, I think 30 is pretty standard, so let's call it 30. That's good. And if we go to performance, we'll come back to this in a minute. So what we can do with our speeds is double click that and bring those in. Okay, so our rotating speed is 136 and V2 is 140. So for flaps, we're going to press 1, enter. Oh, that changes because we've changed the configuration. So you have to do the flaps first, basically. And then what we need to do is put a /. We're doing the trim now, and we'll have that as up 1.0. and enter that. So the slash means that it will go in after the flaps that you've done. The flex temp will have about 65, which is pretty standard. Now we've put that information in, we can call up our speeds again. Okay, right, so we've done that, and done that. And so we've done the flaps, and we've got an approach briefing in there that we don't need. Okay, folks, we're getting very close to the engine start, and bear with me just a moment, I need to have a drink. Okay, back with you now. Right, engine start then. So what we want to do is beacon is where is beacon? Beacon is on. That tells people that something's about to happen. Transponder is on standby. Check. External power is off. Now this is where it's got the potential to go disastrously wrong, because I did this the other day and everything turned off, so I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. So external power is off. Let's see if we can get the engines started fairly quickly. So engine area is clear. We would check that nobody is stood by the engines. Just double check all fuel pumps are on. All fuel pumps are on. Engine mode is set to ignition. Check. And engine 2 is on. So we're starting engine 2 first, and we now need to come up here and have a look at the N2 increasing, and gradually we'll see N1 start to increase as well. And the other thing we can do is have a look at the oil temperatures at the same time. So it's good to have the engine ECAM up whilst we're going through this. Okay, climbing nicely. So N2 is at 32, so we're looking for 60 there, and M1 is increased as well. Good to look out the window at this point to make sure we're not moving. Double check that the park brake is on as the aircraft is now live. Engine 2 is on. Engine oil pressure's okay. Let's have another look. So we're coming up to 60 and 19. We can now start engine 1. Same again. Let's look at the temperatures just to make sure that everything is as expected. So we can see that the N2 is starting to spool up, and shortly the M1 will start to spool up, and the oil pressure will start to increase as things start to happen there as well. So engine 1 master is on. Engine 1 oil check is done. And just wait for these to spoil up. And while we're doing that, we can just quickly nip over and we can see that our navigation has kicked in now. So everything is pretty much as we expected there, and we can have a look at our flight plan just to make sure everything is still in place. Yep, all looking good. Back over to the engine temperatures. So coming up to 47 on N2, 10 on N1, and we can now, fairly confident, I think we can set that to normal. Engines are set to normal. Right, so we've done this check once already, but we will check once more that the probe and window heat is set to on. And APU bleed is off. Anti-ice windows and engines, we don't really need those on, so we'll leave those as is. And the APU master is off. Let's have a look at the engines just to make sure we've still got the temperatures, and oil pressure is good. Okay. What we now need to do is, this is pre-taxi, so we want to make sure that the altimeter is still set. Standby instruments are still set and active. Radios set, check. So we will check once more just to make sure that we're actually listening and ready. So with ground services we want to be tuned into. Ready for pushback. Anti-skid we know, but let's just double check that it's going to be set to on. Confirm. Auto brakes set max. Flaps are set 1. flaps set 1, speed brake arm. Oh. Oh, that's it, speed brake arm. Flight controls check, so let's just get rid of the radio for a moment. So to do the flight control check, we'll switch to flight control and we'll check again that everything is good. Movement and full deflection on all axes. Flight control check is done. Pitch trim, so for the trim we'll set that to 1 up as per what we entered. Now, I'm still not sure that that's right, but let's go with that for now. We want to check that the rudder is set, centralized, so we'll reset that. Rudder is reset. We don't want any scary instance as we take off. So the autopilot is configured as expected, but not on at this stage. Auto thrust is not on because I believe that kicks in as we take off. Flight directors are both set to on. ILS we can see is off. Anti-ice as required, again we don't need that. And now strobe light is set to on. FMC cleanup, so basically what we want to do here is just to make sure that we've got a screen that we would be expecting to see, and this is what we're actually looking for at this stage. Okay, so that's interesting. So I had some changes that I've made that don't seem to have come through. So at this stage then we would go over to, I believe, what we haven't done, so we need to prepare for we need to get the ATIS basically. So what we need to do is go to the menu, ATSU, AOC and weather request, and we want the weather for EGHH and send that. And what we'll do now is just basically just hold it here and we'll company messages shows now, so we know that there is a message that's come in. So if we go back to the AOC menu, received messages, and we have the METAR, the weather, and what we'll do, which is really funky with this aircraft, is we'll come down here and we'll press print. This is so cool that you can do that. Alright, so we'll hand off the weather to the centerpiece here. So basically, we are, interestingly, what that doesn't give us, so what we need to do is listen to, I've got a terrible feeling that it's not working right, so we need to jump on here, go back to clearance and listen to Bournemouth EGHH.
Bournemouth Airport Information Golf 09er 00 Zulu. Wind 272 at 7. Visibility 7. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,000 feet. Temperature 15. Dew point 13. QNH 29.902. ILS runway 26 in use. Landing and departing runway 26. DSR aircraft, say direction
Okay, so
of
we've
flight.
got information
All aircraft
golf,
read back hold short instructions.
which is what we want, so tune ground. So at this point we've actually got the weather, so now if we go to our flight plan, go to EGHS and departure, so we are going to be 26 and think, let's just go back to our plan. So this is the stuff that I'm really still not sure of. So we're going to depart Bournemouth, and so no standard departure. So I'm not going to insert that. I'm quite happy that that's going to take us. Oh, there we go. Well, I'm not quite sure what I've done there, but we'll figure that out once we get in the air. Okay, so right, back to the checklist. What we would say now is something like Solent Tower, I guess, Bravo Alpha 7055 at stand. So we would need to know the stand. Let's say it's stand X with Golf QNH 1013. Request IFR clearance to EGHH or LEMH Mahon. So we would ask that, and we would expect to get that clearance. So let's just keep a lookout. So that's that done. Right, next thing we're going to do is request a pushback. So we need to pull up our, again, so ground services, request pushback.
Bournemouth ground BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 requesting pushback.
Put the brakes on.
Bournemouth ground BAW Bravo Alpha
Nose
7055.
lights.
No pushback tug is available to answer your request.
Set to taxi. Parking brake is off. And what did he say? No pushback tug is available to answer your request. Not really sure what to do about that. Okay, so let's okay, this could go terribly wrong here. We might have to go over the grass. So brakes are off. Okay, let's get organised. Parking brake is off. Pedal brakes are on. Brakes, instruments, taxi check. So, can we reverse thrust? So, I can't imagine we can. Let's have a look. Yes, we can. How cool is that? It's not particularly great though, is it? I think it's moving. I'm not really sure. Okay, let's just jump back in the cockpit for a moment. And are the brakes off? Brakes are off. So I think what we're going to have to do is do a turn from here, in effect. So feet on the brakes. And so what we now want to do is go back to clearance. So we want to request taxi to depart to the south.
Bournemouth ground BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 with hotel request taxi to the active departure to the south.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 taxi to and hold short of runway 26 via taxiway Golf Golf 4 Golf Golf 3 Golf Golf 2 Golf Golf 1 Golf. Contact tower on 125.605 when ready.
Right. Okay, Acknowledge taxi clearance.
Taxi to and hold short runway 26 via taxiway Golf Golf 4 Golf Golf 3 Golf Golf 2 Golf Golf 1 Golf BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
Oh gosh. Okay. So that's that. So we want to check the brakes. Brakes are checked. Flight controls check. Okay, on our way round to runway 26. Small taxiways here at Bournemouth. Sorry about that, I was just offered a cup of tea and almost went off the runway. So, last checks in, weather radar. So we need to hold short at this next stop point. Right, so nice and gently come to a halt here. And put the park brake on. Let's just check that is on. Yep, okay, right, let's get ourselves together. So next one is weather radar is on. So I think that's this one there. But I don't think it actually works. Ah, maybe it's that switch to auto. Not completely sure about that one. Right, so we want to check the engine instruments, so go up to the ECAM and we want to check the engine. So everything looks good, pressures look good, fine, so we can tick that off. Runway turn light is on, so back up to the top here. Runway turn light is set on. Takeoff configuration, so we want to go here and takeoff config. Okay, so we're showing that TCAS is still in standby, so I think this is something I still need to actually add to the checklist. So that should, there we go, cabin check. So we've done takeoff memo, all should be green, but we got a blue. Not sure how we communicate that that we've done the cabin check. So what do we do here? Maybe there's something here. Not sure, so that's something to make a note of. Okay, so bird strike, what we would do is have a good look out, make sure there's no immediate threat from birds or any other warnings. And next one is pedal brakes are on, strobe lights. Strobe lights are on, which we've done, so that's a check. Nose light is set to taxi or takeoff. Transponder, so I've got the transponder here, so just in a different place, is set to Tara. Transponder is set to on and all repeating. Rudder trim reset. Rudder trim reset. And we are good to go. Okay. Brakes off. we haven't got our clearance, so we should really just hold there. Let's go on to the radio, which is here, and tune Bournemouth ground, tune tower, press takeoff clearance. We've got VFR, but that's not quite right.
Alpha 7055 ready for south departure at runway 26.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 cleared for takeoff runway 26 south departure approved.
Okay, that's it. On the brakes, spool up 40%, stick forwards,
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, did you hear my last
off the
transmission?
brakes. Engines monitoring. Should have set the chrono.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, please
Thrust.
acknowledge.
Flex toga. There we go. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. Touch the brakes. Right, autopilot is on, landing gear is up. Hopefully we're heading towards the... I think I might have messed up the flight plan by adding that other point earlier on, so we're going to have to play this a bit by ear. Okay, so we've got master alarm. What is that? Okay, I think it's the throttle. Shouldn't be the throttle. That's the flaps. Take the flaps. There we go. Right, so this is the bit that I'm struggling with a bit to get right. I'm not liking the look of this flight plan. I'm not really sure why we've got so many points there. Hopefully we'll go past those. So we're on our way to 5,000 feet. And our next point is so DCT. Right, need to get myself organised here. Right down here. So DIN, so DIN. Which is not on my... I think that's the one that I accidentally put in. Right, okay. Right, just while we get organised here, let's have a little bit of music on, if that works. Okay, so we need to make our climb for 26,000 feet for Domok, I think it is. Which, capex. Which we don't seem to have on our list. So we have Godan, we have Capex, which we've gone past, and Godan. Don't seem to have. Okay, well the good news is we still seem to be heading in the right direction, and by the time we get to Dinard, which is 106 nautical miles, I think. Yeah, so we're counting down to Dinard now. We need to be at about 34,000 feet. So there we go. So we're well on our way, and that should be fine. So we're on our way up to 26,000 feet at the moment. Jolly good. Right, okay, so I'll be back with you shortly, and we'll do some of the after takeoff checks.
London Center BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 tree 2 miles southeast of Echo Golf Bravo Hotel request IFR to Menorca ready to copy.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 is cleared to Menorca Airport as filed. Squawk 0537. Bravo Alpha 7055, did you hear my last transmission?
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 cleared to Menorca Airport is filed. Squawk 0537.
BAW BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, read back correct. Radar contact 15,900 feet. QNH29er decimal 9er 2 continue to Delta India November turning and following heading 185 resume on navigation descent and maintain 15,000 feet.
Okay, so we've got 186 to Din and 91 miles to run till we get to Din, and we've got our own navigation. We need to just acknowledge that we did copy the instruction.
Delta India November turning and following
So
heading
that's all good.
185 resume on navigation descent and maintain 15,000 feet. BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, contact Brest Center on 120.15.
Okay, acknowledge the handoff to
120
contact Brest Center.
15 for BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
Tuned in for that. Right, okay, so now actually we should just contact the
Brest Center BAW
Flight
Bravo
region.
Alpha
Get
7055
that
is
done.
out of flight level 205 for 15,000 feet.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 Brest Center. Continue to Delta India November as planned.
okay. Right, let's just go back to the checklist and just run through some of the things that I think we should be doing at this stage in the flight. So let's check, just collapse down the radio for a moment there, and we'll have a look. Throttle is set to climb. We can get rid of that weather forecast now, I think. I'll do that in a minute. So throttle is set to climb. Speed brakes are retracted and
BAW Bravo Alpha
And
7055.
disarm. Is that disarmed? Always get confused with that. I need to double check that. Make a note of that. So we've done the flaps. All this happens a bit too quick, so I need to sort that out. What we will do is just do another check just to make sure that the landing gear is up. Flaps are up. And now the weather radar is set to, I think it needs to be tilt. We would set that to tilt down, so because we're up in the air a bit further now, and let's just check that the autopilot is on. Confirm. Speed.
BAW Bravo Alpha.
Right, okay, so this is something I've not completely got my head round. So we'll come back to speed in a minute. So what was that radio message? Was that for us? No. So auto brakes we need to check are off, so they are automatically off, which is pretty cool. That's good. And we've done some ATC work, and then let's just do some checks overhead. So APU is off. Nose light is off. Runway turn light is off. Packs 1 and 2 are on. And anti-ice as required. So let's just have a little look outside for now, just a very simple ice check, because that seems to be fine. And so we're just coming up, we're currently northeast of Jersey at the moment. which we can see just ahead of us there. So what I did, so that's the anti-ice checked. I did mess up putting in that extra point, I think, so I can show you what I mean, because what I think I can pull up is Navigraph. So that's our little moving aeroplane there, and what we're doing is, let's just check again. Let's go back to
Please expedite your descent to
Taste
15,000
on
feet.
hand. Descent to 15,000 feet. Was it us? Huh. So my flight plan says that we should be going up. I think that's because we're off our flight plan a bit. So let me just check where we are. Back in the cockpit. And get rid of the radio for a minute. So we've got 52 miles to run. To Dinard. So if I go back to
your descent to 15,000 feet.
right, so if we have a look at this, we can see that we're heading towards Dinard, which is in the middle of the screen there now. And that's because I think I took out Domok there. So from Dinard, we'll then pick up, as expected, down to Godan, which is what we see on our actual flight plan. So I'm quite happy that we're going to connect with the flight plan at some stage. So right, so let's just get back in the cockpit and do some other. I'm not going to go down to 15,000 feet because coming up to Dinard, we should be at basically 34,000 feet. So we've got how far to run? 42 miles to Dinard. So let's see if we can get up to 35,000 feet at Dinard. So we do that and we press that twice. Okay? Good. Right. So, so at this kind of altitude, our climb is relatively graceful, I think. I think it's roughly 2,400. Okay, so back in the checklist then. So we can go back, and our altitude we should set to, oh, not that one, standard. So this is our flight level reporting now. Now we should have done that, I think, above 10,000 feet, so we're way behind with that. Release the cabin crew, and we need to set our range to 40. So 5,000 feet, so we've missed that. Speed check we've done, climb rate is done, so we're well above 10,000 feet. We need to do the landing lights, so we're way behind ourselves here at the moment. I don't think we put those on for takeoff. We must have missed that. Anti-ice is required, fasten seatbelts is off, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff that we've not done here. ND range is set to 80 or 160, so we'll have, because we're inbound to Dinard, which is just 28 away, let's set that to 40 now, so that's fine. Speed check, so Ground speed at 434. I'm not sure about that. Because we're showing 275. We don't have a tailwind. Don't understand that at all. And it's Mach
BAW Bravo
0.73.
Alpha 7055. Please expedite your descent to 15,000 feet.
Which is not far from our max speed. Okay. Don't really understand that, why that's showing at 2.8, but never mind. Or 2.9. So working our way through then, so we've done that. Well above 18,000 feet, climbing above 240. I need to clean this bit of the checklist up because too much information here really, and you don't get time to do it. So so our speed here should be Mach 0.8, which it is pretty much. And so we're coming up. Let's have a look at the checklist sim brief. So we'll have a look at our sim brief. So coming up to
Please expedite your descent to 15,000 feet.
to Dinard, 17 miles to run. We should be at 34,000 feet and we're currently at 31, so we're not going to be too far from that, I don't think. Right, okay, let's get back in the cockpit and have something nice to look at for a while.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your descent to 15,000 feet.
Breast Center BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Request flight level 250.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 descent and maintain flight level 260. Expect flight level 250.
Right, so we've requested to keep air traffic control happy, and so we'll request.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
So we need to acknowledge the instruction.
Descend and maintain flight level 260. Expect flight level
Ooh.
250. BAW Bravo
So we're
Alpha
turning. Let's go
7055.
back in the cockpit just to make sure that we stay on track. Always makes me nervous with this because it doesn't necessarily stay on track. Okay, so coming up, I guess just off to the left for us is, or will be, Rennes on the northwesterly coast of France. We've just coasted in. Right, so let's request a altitude increase.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your descent to flight level 260.
So we're currently 2.6, so we want basically 8,000. Let's ask for that.
Breast Center BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Request flight level 330.
So 48 miles to run to go down, and let's have a
BAW
look
Bravo Alpha
at the flight plan.
7055 descent and maintain flight level 330.
so we should be at flight level 35. Not sure how we're doing with that really, to be honest. Okay, pretty much there. That's a miracle.
Acknowledge last transmission. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Did you copy?
Descend and maintain flight level 330 BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
DAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Contact breast center on 124.8. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Acknowledge last transmission.
Going to 124.8 BAW
Right, so back in the office,
Bravo
we've got
Alpha
a couple of things to do.
7055.
What we're going to do, tune. Okay, to keep on
Breast
top of
center
these
BAW Bravo Alpha
radio messages.
7055 is out of flight level 350 for flight level 330.
So what we want to be doing is checking the engines at this stage. So everything seems fine, 87%. We can climb. Nothing untoward with the engines, so we can go back to our checklist. This is what we're doing at the moment. So comms continually checking, and we're okay at the moment. Nav and autopilot. So let's just make sure everything is set as expected here. Yep, dash dot, 35,000 feet. Flight director is engaged, autopilot is engaged, and auto throttle is engaged. Okay, so what we can now do is fuel. So fuel on board is 8,440 kilograms. So at Dinard, or go down, we would expect to be down to 5.9. Where does it say where we are? Fuel on board was 842. I don't understand that, so that's something to make a note of the next one. Okay, just look out the window, as we should. And now we need to check the navigation. So I think we do that with, is it data? No. Performance. Where did we get that last time? So nav, no, program I think it is. GPS primary, there we are. Accuracy high, so okay, so it's program.
DAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your descent to flight level 330.
Right, okay, so let's just go back to our checklist. So we've checked the fuel, the nav accuracy and the nav position. So let's just go back and check where we are. So 7.6 miles to go down. Cabin temperature. I'm feeling a bit cold now, so we'll turn the temperature up a little bit. So back over here, transition altitude is done. Right, so in a short while we'll be having a look at the approach plate and try and decide what to do with that. So some of this is coming together, there's still so much to understand. So let's get back in the cockpit with a bit of music.
DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, contact Brest Center on 123.75.
123.75 for BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
Right, so back with you now for a while. Have a quick review of where we are in the flight plan. Right, okay, so according to... Actually, we probably need to go back in the cockpit, actually. And have a look at the MCDU. Flight plan. So we are currently... 10 miles from Lugan, so about 8.9 miles, and yep. And let's just have a little look. Navigraph. So we can see on Navigraph how we're progressing. So our route takes us. Oh, sorry, bit of unwanted music there. Yeah, so pretty much down the east coast of France, around the Bay of Biscay, and then we'll head, guess, southeast, down over the upper right corner of Spain, and then pretty much direct into Menorca. So we're making good progress, and we're currently cruising at the height we expected, although apparently not the height Brest was expecting when they were managing us. Got the wrong screen there, so let's have a look. So what we want to do now is to have a look at we want to have a look for our top of descent, which is going to be UN 727, so in between Deeps and Sargo. So now I really don't know what I'm doing with this stuff here at the moment. Okay. And we don't seem to have many. End of flight plan. There we go. Yeah, so there's all the points on the way down. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm looking at. Right, so let's have a look. So we're currently from CNA en route to Uvelli. Let's just double check that. Yeah, there's Uvelli. And okay. So quite happy that we're on track. So all of this is basically at flight level 350. So we'll start to decelerate. Decel is set. That doesn't. Okay, and this is because we haven't got our. We haven't got the approach in yet. So we can do that now, actually. So right, how do we do that? going to pop you guys back in the aircraft while I try and figure out how to do this. Okay, so we'll have a look at what the arrival options are. So we are runway 19. Basically the ILS we're going to come in on the SARG 4F. And just need to zoom in here. I know you can't see this, but I think we'll go it's a lot of guesswork here. So via Donev. So ILS-19 via Donev. So we'll insert that. Now let's have a look what that's done for us. Yeah, Donev, DME 10. Yep, that'll work. Sorry, a little bit of faffing around there because I'm not really sure what I'm actually doing. They're just east of the Bordeaux region of France at the moment. 35,000 feet. Right, so far so good. We're about coming up on halfway. Right, so for our next point, Toulouse, TOU, Tango Oscar Uniform, judging by the flight plan, we need to be down at 31,000 feet. So let's activate this now so that we don't get caught out. And we can see on the primary flight display that we're descending. So it's really at this Alpha Golf Echo November that we should have started descending, but I'm happy to come down a bit earlier. Because on a trial flight last week, I got it completely wrong. Let's have a look at this beautiful aircraft, the A320 NX. Right, so we can't get too complacent. We need to check the weather. So let's go to the MCDU. Right, where do we do this again? So to AOC menu and weather request. So we want to check the weather at LEMH. Send, and we watch on here to see if there's, oh, looks like we've not done the landing lights, so there you go, you see, retract it. Ah, they're not retracted, that's what it is. Right, okay, so company message, so we can go back to the MCDU, back to the menu, receive messages, and our new, not the second one down which was viewed, and we'll print that. Right, let's just check that we are actually descending. 31,000 feet, coming up to Toulouse. So on our flight plan we should be 31,000 feet at Toulouse. And at Deeps we descend down to 1,800 feet. 18,000 feet. Okay, so let's pop our piece of paper over there and have a look. Right, so let's go back to the checklist for a minute because that's what this is all about. Right, so we've reviewed the approach plate and we need to have a look at the approach brief. So I'll be back shortly. Right, let's have a little look here, see what we've got. So, our approach, and we're going to do the ILS 19Y. So, let's look at that. And our decision height, decision altitude is 510 feet, I think. Okay, so let's go back to the checklist. Quick look out the window just to see what's going on. All good, still on course. And back. Right, so what we now need to do is go to, so one of the things we should have done was set the TCAS to below to look down. So that's on the checklist that we should have done. Altimeter we're going to check just to make sure that's all okay. So we're on flight level, so that's fine. Radios, we haven't really done much of the radios, so we could probably do that now. That's what the checklist is all about. Tune Bordeaux, contact Bordeaux.
Bordeaux Center BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 is climbing through flight level 310 for flight level 330.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 Bordeaux Center. Continue to Lamra as planned.
Right, okay, so
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your climb to flight level 330. BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your climb to flight level 330.
So we're going to have a very slight left crosswind when we're coming in. So it's always good to just check your way through. And that looks like the performance for the approach is done. So we can go back to the flight plan. And we're making the turn as expected. So let's just zoom in and see where we are. So LEMH to Rokan, and we should still be at 31,000 feet for this. That's good. So So it's not really till we get down to
Please expedite your climb to flight level 330.
deeps that we need to start descending to 18,100 feet. And where we are at the moment should be minus 52 outside. So let's just have a little look just to make sure we're iced up. So far so good. Let's just go back to the MCDU and have a look at the next phase, the arrival.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your climb to flight level 330.
And okay, so the go around is, I thought we had to set a go around height, but never mind. Won't worry about that too much. Right, so in the checklist then, so ATIS we need to check, radios we need to check, anti-ice we've checked, pretty much done the approach, we've selected the approach to standard arrival,
Flight level 330.
and we're pretty much ready for the initial descent. So I think for the initial descent, the top of descent, we need to be throttles idle and down to 18,100 feet. And I think we can do that at 3,500 feet a minute. Not sure, that sounds quite fast. Okay, so let's just have another look where we are. And
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your climb to flight level 330.
so we know it's deeps where we're going to start descending. So we've got a little way to go. Oh wow, look at this. This is fantastic scenery.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055. Please expedite your climb to flight level 330.
So just made our turn then on to Golf Echo Alpha November Tango. And so we are actually over the Pyrenees at the moment. I think these are the... I'm not absolutely sure.
DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, please expedite your climb to flight level 330. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, please expedite your climb to flight level 330. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, contact Barcelona Center on 119er.45. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, acknowledge last transmission. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, did you hear my last transmission? DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, please acknowledge. DAW Bravo Alpha 7055, IFR flight plan is cancelled, radar service terminated. Squawk 1200.
Okay, so back with you now, and we've just coasted out over Spain. So we now need to be thinking about descending. So we need 18,000 feet. Actually 18,100 it says, but we'll go with that. We come back to idle, I think. And that should be detected. And need to click that twice, I believe. There we go. Okay, thrust set to idle. Let's turn the music down. I need to get some comms going. So we're going to go back to the checklist view. And tune Barcelona. So we need to be 18,000 feet by deeps. So what we need to do is bring in the range, which will be much more helpful. So we're descending nicely, that's good. So altimeter is set currently still standard. Descent rate is 3,000, well, 2,500 feet, that's fine. And yeah, so once we get to 18,000 feet, we've got another sequence to go through. Something we should check is whether GPS accuracy is high. So it's within 0.7 of a nautical mile, so I'm quite happy with that. So we know that we're pretty accurate. Right, so just referring back to my flight plan. So coming up on deeps. Yeah, so we should be 18,000 feet at deep. So we might just about get there actually. And then by SARG, we need to be 8,100 feet. Pretty intense really, a lot of stuff to get through. So back on the checklist then, we can take that off. Altimeter is set, descent rate is set, approaching 18,000 feet. I've got too much information on this bit of the checklist I think, but I do find it quite useful to have that to go through. There you go, 22,000 feet and yeah, so we're going to be good at deeps. Need to practice this much more, this whole descent business. But so far, so good. So probably descended too early, but so we should have started descending at between Deeps and Sargo. But the thing is, when I did a similar thing the other day, that just wasn't enough. That 40, so where are we? That 60 miles wasn't enough to drop. So I need to just really kind of have a look and see what's going on there. So coming up to Deeps End, so we now need to program (8,000 feet). And let's just have a look at the primary flight display and flight level 80. And passing 10,000, we'll switch back to QNH rather than standard flight level. So I think what we'll do, because we can, is just deploy a bit of air brake. I'm not sure if we need it or not really, but just want to slow us down a bit and lose the height because it can all go wrong so quickly. Yeah, so far so good. We seem to be descending quite well, and providing we stay with the approach, then things should be good. Right, let's have a look at the radio. There must be something we need to do there. See, that's on my checklist there to check the radio. There we go, Barcelona Centre, 57 miles southeast of LEPF. Crest IFR to Menorca, ready to copy.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055 is clear to Menorca Airport as filed. Squawk 0537.
Okay, acknowledge that. So we put the squawk in there. And so Sargo, we want to be down or approaching 8,000. We're probably descending a bit earlier, but I'm happy with that. So heading 150, let's just check that's what we have. 149 pretty much. Let's just climb and maintain 15,000. So we are low.
Sargo turning and following heading 150, proceed on course climb and maintain 15,000 feet BAW Bravo Alpha 7055.
Right, so what we can do here is just check the weather hasn't changed. So it's 1303 knots. That's pretty much all we're interested in, and the cloud base. So a few clouds at 400 feet. So that and send. So 1303 knots. Descending 9,000 feet. So at Sargo, we need to descend to 5,000 feet. So let's get that ready. Okay, so that's tuned, but we won't. Has that activated that? No. The messages come in. Company message, yes. Back to the received messages. So it's the new one we want to have a look at. And it says it's now 120. So it's moved 10 degrees basically to the left. And cloud cover is still okay. No need to print that. And that one can go. Happy with that? Flight plan. So Sargo to Donav. Let's have a look up here. What have we got? So according to my brief, we need to... Well, we're going to be low, actually. But that's fine for now.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, please expedite your climb of 15,000 feet.
Yeah. So we're going to request a decrease because we're way too low. So we're currently at... what are we at? 7,000 feet. On our way down to 5. I would guess. Well, let's go back in the office and have a look. Yeah, on our way down to 0.5 or 50. So we're below 10,000 now, so we should be on QNH. So we are going to be low, but that's fine because, as like I say, last time I tried this, I ended up way too low. Right, let's go back to the checklist. Let's check the height first, actually. Always good idea to know where you are. Coming up to 5,000 feet, that's good. And so Donav, we need to be at 5,000 feet. So we've just got to that point a bit too early, really. So barometer check we've done, and cross check that. So cross check that is good. Altimeter is set. ND range is set to 40. Check radios. Check. Let's check the radios. That's what we want. Request down to 5,000 feet for the cruising altitude. So we'll leave that like that. So right now we need to start doing some of the business of the day. Seatbelts on. Landing lights are on. Speed. Check. 250 knots. Yeah, or below 250 knots, below 10,000 feet. Check engine selector is set to norm. Below 10,000, descent rate, ND range 10. Or 20, so we'll keep that on 20 for now for the navigation display. So Sargo, and so from here, oh, Okay, so we need to descend further, I believe. Let's have a look. Let's go to the flight plan. Now this is a bit I don't really understand. 3,000. So we need to go to 3,000 now. Mm. 3,000 feet. And we need to just keep an eye out the window, see what's going on. Yeah, all good. So coming up on Donav, we need to be we'll use a waypoint 3,000, then DME 10, we need to be 2,500. Right, cabin crew 10 minutes. ATS check we've done. Barometer set, APU set as required. Air brakes armed and up. Auto brakes set to medium. Set. Right, so flaps, let's check the speed we've got at the moment. So it's still a bit too fast for flaps. But just coming up on that. So just check we've got auto thrust is on. Flaps as required, so I think we can now have the first stage of flaps down. Let's just check that we're not gonna. Yep, good. So coming up to Donav, we should be at 3,000 feet. $3,500 actually. Flight level, yeah. That's about right. And now we need to change the range because there's a lot happening in a short space of time here. Flaps as required. Navigation ILS. So we need to and arm the localizer. I believe that's right. And so what we need to do is the total control is give the speed control back. That's what we need. So navigation ILS is on. Taxi lights on to take off. Runway turn lights on. Localizer on, we've done. And what we haven't done is picked up the ILS yet. There we are. We've just picked it up now, actually. So we've got the ILS. Go back down, and we need to be at 2,500 feet, 10 DME, 10 miles out. So we've got a little bit of a way to run for that. So, but let's. Okay, so we're on our way down to 2,500 feet. Next one, 48 DME is 1,900 feet. Out the window. Yeah. We need to bring that in now so we can read these constraints a bit better. Although that said, That's a bit clearer, isn't it? So DME 10, 2,500 feet, so we can stick with that for a moment. Need to make sure we're looking out the window as well. Check the speed. Okay, so we can have the next stage of flaps. Next stage, DME 10 is 48, DME is 1900 feet. I'm sure that doesn't mean flight level 33. I mean that 35,000 feet at that point. Okay. Right, let's have a look at this. So ILS is on. Landing system is on. Localizer is visible. Well, not localizer. Land is. Hopefully, we should pick up the glide slope soon. Cabin check. Go around altitude is set. Approach mode. Just check. Approach mode is on. Confirm. Autopilot check. Autopilot is engaged and we are in auto speed, in effect dash dot dash dot. Tune into Menorca ILS. Flap set 1 we've done. FMA check. So that's the squawk 0537. 537, we're squawking that anyway. And check the FMA, the annunciator. So we've got the glide slope, but it's not hooked onto it yet. FMA check, and where are we? Flaps 2. That's not right. Anyway, it's about right. Speed is managed. Confirm. 48 DME is 1900 feet. Okay, so descending down to 1900 feet, and then probably, does that mean that it'll get picked up by the localizer there? Okay. Speed check, 150 knots. Good. Auto thrust. Or Arthur, as I like to call it. Gear down. Okay, so I feel like it's getting a little bit ahead of me at the moment here. So 1900 feet. Confirm. Gear is down. 3 greens. Flaps are full. Confirm. The ice set as required. Park brake is off. Decision height check. Stable approach.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, please acknowledge.
And okay, so what we need to do is go here. Confirm we're at 1948 BME.
BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, did you hear my last transmission? BAW Bravo Alpha 7055, acknowledge last transmission.
Okay, set up for landing into Mahon in Menorca. Right, 500 feet to go.
BAW Bravo Alpha
We'll just, we've got a bit more than that to go.
Cancelled radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Maintain VFR.
There we go.
Frequency change approved.
And the autopilot's caught up. Autopilot is on. Gear down. Gear down. Go and set ending memo. Nothing blue. Ah, okay, so what have we got here? Cabin check done. Flaps full. Check. Nothing missed there. Right, now by for landing. So 500 feet, we'll take the autopilot away.
1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 500.
Too low. Terrain.
Autopilot
Too low.
off.
Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
Ah. Oh no.
Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
Don't do that.
Too low. Terrain. 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 Too low.
We're going to flare at 30 feet, 45, about there. Oh, 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 this is terrible. Oh, this is bad news.
Too low.
No.
Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
Oh no.
Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
40.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
Gear up. We've got to go round. Oh, that's so bad. It was all going so well. So what I don't have much of a clue on is the missed approach procedures. So what we're going to do is get to 1600 feet, follow that dot there. try that again.